get something new out of it. I also got inspiration from like a lot of classic video games and like techniques and things that a lot of old video games used, especially stuff from like Rob Hubbard from the Commodore 64, Jonathan Dunn, Slow Ducey, the German dude.
I can't pronounce that.
I can't pronounce half. Like in Europe, it was really good for music and on old video game systems. It like, especially since because they had this like crazy, like almost indie scene where they had really cheap computers, so a lot of people in their like basements were, hey, like I want to work for this video game company. My like demo tape of whatever. So there's a lot of neat inspiration comes from there. And yeah, just mostly just like media guys are talking to people and like swapping ideas. I've done a couple of collaborations with people, and it's really neat because you can learn a lot and get a lot of inspiration from being part of the process of working with someone else. It's like, I'll add a piece of music, give a little bit of room, I'm going to add something, and then he'll change up some stuff, and it like feeds. It's almost like jamming, over a longer period of time.
I just wanted to say at the time you said like now you pretty much exclusively listen to chiptunes. Like I listen to a lot of different types of music and stuff, but I remember when I was first getting into it, I was just like, chiptunes the only thing that exists.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends are like, dude, we're going to this concert or a chiptune. Well, I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah.
They're like, the world doesn't exist. Chiptunes like a 4-month period.
It's blasting.
Welcome to Manitoba. Get that on.
Yeah, I hate to break it up, but there was an article that you actually took a bit of a way to talk about it, or at least I didn't actually have the article.
I think I know the article he's talking about, and yeah, that one was. It felt just dated because of the references it was making in there. Like it was talking about. It was talking about Blitfest as that was the thing that was still happening, but
it's in the past now.
Yeah, Blitfest ended in what, like 2010?
2012 actually.
Oh, 2012.
So yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I talked a lot of like stuff that happened a long time ago. And it's like, chiptunes still happening. Like, there's a lot of cool things going on now.
There's a lot of almost like a renaissance going on right now, but it's a lot of it is more. My view of like older chiptunes, like as a scene, I guess, is more like with a band and they're using the Game Boy drum machine, and now it's going more toward like traditional type, like chiptune is the genre, you're making it on the hardware or at least to the same limitations as it originally would have been. Now, like Genesis is coming out as FM synthesis, and a bunch of Amiga sample-based stuff is coming out to be a little bit more popular now this year.
Just to bring some context, the only thing I found really offensive in that article, it was basically the fact that they referenced an artist who died at 23, and in the first edit of the article, they referenced it as though he committed suicide because he did a cover of a metal song, and a bunch of metal fans were taking offense to it just because it was 8-bit. And the author made sense to that and actually tried to make it clear to anyone who's into chiptune that was being that wasn't her intent. So I bought it.
So, as for you, what has been your impression?
Well, I guess when I first started, it was some of the other like bigger people, and I guess it still is a little bit of that when I would see these videos on YouTube of these like big chiptune shows at like Blitz or Sir Sounds, which is another chiptune music fest that takes place in Australia and Tokyo. Tokyo. So, and so I saw that, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to rock out to my Game Boy in front of like 100 people or so. Yeah, and so it was that got me sort of started and almost sort of keeping going. That's sort of helping me going with it as well, is that's part of the goal, is just something like that going on in my home province of Alberta. So to that end, I started talking with some of the other Alberta people, then I made my Facebook group for us all to communicate, and we wound up doing like an album last summer, and we're doing I got to travel out here to do a show at FanQuest, and that was pretty cool.
It's worth noting that me and Vince are from Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah.
We were associated through our own chiptune group, I guess.
I don't know if we're like just a collective or something.
Or we're something. I guess we're just trying to promote chiptunes.
Spread the gospel.
Spread the good word of chiptunes.
I speak for at least us. We're definitely glad you guys made your way out to FanQuest. It has been. I sat there watching you guys yesterday. It was unbelievable to see you guys actually, bobbing your heads, dancing with your own. To show the passion that you have for what you guys make is phenomenal, and it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
I'm a bit weird. Like I'm because of the methods I use to write mine. Like they use that program called LSDJ, but I use other sound engines. I'll use various ones. So when I play, I'm not like really modifying anything like live. So it's like I enjoy coming out to these, but my thing's usually more like I sit down, write it, and just release my music. But I still enjoy like interacting with other people who make it like these guys. And that's a really big thing about Chiptune. It's like there's so has trip thrash. Vince and me do a different thing. I have my own thing. It's really broad. What the whole the big what is chiptune? It's really really broad.
I guess in that sense, chiptune is more of the method than the genre. Though there's still some artists where to define the genre of music, it really the genre is chiptune as well as the method. Mm-hmm. So
definitely a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are gonna kind of wrap this up eventually, just because apparently batteries are dying fast.
Oh no.
So you guys mentioned mostly you've been with the computer, and the other ones have been Game Boys. Is there any other equipment you guys use to make the music other than just the Game Boys?
Beyond the Game Boys, I've tried. I said one of the people that got me started on it was a guy named Bud Melvin, and he makes his music by playing banjo along with the Game Boy, and it's just some goofy stuff. So I tried doing that as well. But
like sings along.
Yeah.
It's kind of like bluegrass.
Yeah, it's bluegrass. It's basically just bluegrass music, and it's so weird. And I loved it, so I tried playing the banjo along with it. I suck at banjo. But these days now it's Game Boy, and I also have another friend who's like super into like analog synthesizers and like modular Euro rack synths. And so he and I get together and we'll try mixing those two together a lot as well.
That's awesome. Lazy Nerd?
Yeah, in terms of other equipment, I still use my Nintendo DS for a few songs here and there. Not as much, just because it's hard to sync between the Game Boy and the actual synth itself. I actually just recently received what's called a pocket chip, which is basically a Linux computer condensed into a handheld. And there's a program you can compose chiptune on with it called Piggy Tracker, which is basically a little sound DJ but with samples rather than actual waveforms. And from there I'm planning to combine keytar, hopefully, depending on what I can afford. And then we'll basically see where it goes from there. And of course, for other compositions, I also use FL Studio as well.
That is awesome. And for yourself?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I have like a lot of drum machines and synthesizers at home. Mostly from like the albums that I have out so far as Scatter Pattern Rs with a Game Boy. But now that I've like learned some things, and I got this thing called an Arduino Boy, where you can send MIDI to Game Boys or use the Game Boy to send MIDI. I'm gonna try and like.
I got a similar guy here where.
I
tore. If I maybe not drop it. I tore apart a 4-player adapter and just shoved like one of those teensy USB dev boards in it, and it's running some code written by another chiptune guy, little scale. And so on one end is USB, which you plug into the computer, and then the other end is the Game Boy plug, which goes into the Game Boy. So you can sync it with pretty much any like modern music software on the PC. So you hit play on the PC, and the Game Boy and the PC software like sync to the beat.
And that's similar to that, like that.
Yeah, the Arduino board does
brought up.
pretty much the same thing.
It
Yeah.
has a 5-pin MIDI cord, and I can connect it to my synthesizers. And either or, I can click start on the Game Boy. Synthesizers will start, or it depends what I decide is going to be like the head honcho of that jam.
That's awesome. I will admit, before all this, I really didn't know too much about it, and now I'm realizing there's just so much more to it than originally thought, which is actually amazing and awesome. And I definitely need to learn more about it. So what advice can you give to other ones who are trying to get into it?
I guess it's super easy to get into. If you're looking into making music on the Game Boy, there's several different applications. There's Delphi Mask, which is what Pegmode uses. The rest of us use mostly LSDJ or Little Sound DJ, which is pretty inexpensive software, and you can buy the
run it on
ROM.
an emulator on your laptop if you just want to find out what playing music with a Game Boy is like.
Yeah, if you want to sort of like learn with it before you like commit to buying or modifying a Game Boy and getting into that. LSJ is like
it's a name your own price. So you
it's a minimum of $1.
Yeah.
When he says modifying, one question that I get from a lot of my friends see my Game Boy and it's glowing in the dark and it's got extra knobs or whatever sticking out of it, and they're like, "Oh, you hacked Game Boy. Do I have to?" You don't have to hack a Game Boy. You could go to a garage sale and buy that yellow stained old gray brick, go home and start making music. You don't need to modify it.
That's my whole spiel. I find it, I'm like chiptunes are diverse. I'm not gonna like, no, you guys suck, but like the thing I find really cool about it is like pushing like the boundaries of what you can do, or finding neat things where you don't have to rely on other things outside of 1989. I go out and get a Game Boy, like 1983, 4, 5, like Commodore 64, and wouldn't it be cool if I went back in time and like showed this guy like all this really cool like visual effects or like the music or whatever that you're working on? Like that's one thing. So what he's trying to say with that is like you don't have to, you can, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you can also, if you're just curious about it and you're like, hey, I want to try this, there's tons of ways. Delphi Mask is free. If you just want to make a bleep bloop thing, or if you want to try what they do, I think there's a demo of LSD.
If you go to Little Sound DJ, I think it's probably just littlesounddj.com.
Yeah.
And if you go there, you can download the ROM of put it in an emulator, and you've got the demo.
Yeah, the demo ROM doesn't do like save files, but if you're running it in an emulator, you have save states anyway.
So you can still play back, pre-composed music. From other users as well.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
So I guess the last question before we kind of end the interview is, where can people find out more about you and what you do?
I've got like all that junk that's online. So there's like Facebook /scatterpattern, scatterpattern.bandcamp, soundcloud.com/scatterpattern, youtube.com/IamScatterpattern.
That's definitely a lot. I think that's more than we have. For yourself, Lazy Nerd?
Okay, well, you can find me at, easy to remember, username LazyNerd204. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud. Lazy Nerd, without the 204.bandcamp.com is where you'll find a lot of my music. And of course, I always make sure to keep that up to date as well.
I'm not quite as eccentric with my... I only have a SoundCloud and YouTube. My SoundCloud is, I think, soundcloud.com/pegmode_DC. You could probably search Pegmode and find it. And I also have a YouTube channel, but just go to SoundCloud. That's the only place I really do anything.
Fair enough.
And I am, the main ones are, my SoundCloud, which is just soundcloud.com/slowscan. We have the Alberta Chiptune Facebook group, which is where you can find a lot of us in Alberta sort of collaborating and talking about chip. And other than that, I guess I'm also on Instagram. SlowScanChip is my username on there, but that's mostly videos of me and my one friend Henning messing around with his Eurorack, and other posts proving that I shouldn't be allowed to take care of myself like an adult.
Is this chiptune?
No, it's not. Just to add on, in terms of us as an actual chiptune collective, you can find a lot of our work on the Facebook group Chiptunes Equals Win. Anybody worldwide can sign up. Unfortunately, you can't invite other Facebook friends, but if you do request to join, they'll definitely let you in, and they'll definitely let you share your music, share tips, share programs that either you've developed or programs that you could use, such as things like FamiTracker or Sunvox. They post tutorials. pretty much the whole gambit if it's related